Whatever happened to the post credits? Remember that? That was some funny shit.
We don't say funny things, so we don't
We're
get to
not-
put it.
we're
We
not
don't
funny
put anything
anymore.
after the show. Hey everyone, welcome to the Wheel Booze, the monthly podcast where we get drunk and talk about anime. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hunter. He's drinking.
I'm Justin.
Can't just
Great.
do that.
I just did. Hunter, you're back from Japan.
Yes, I am.
Before telling everyone a little bit about your exciting trip, why don't you go ahead and share what we're drinking?
Oh, so I'm having a Breckenridge vanilla porter. You are having this very strange agave thing from like what even is it?
I don't
It's
have the
like-
bottle.
That was
It's a New Belgium.
poorly thought out.
It is New Belgium.
It is New Belgium. It's like
Called-
some sort of like agave.
It's in Spanish. I can't.
cerveza,
so.
and Justin has coffee.
How's your trip?
So it was pretty much fantastic and amazing. Got to go to the Holy Land.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the first things I did was have a bowl of ramen, and then we went to Akihabara, and that pretty much made it, right? So actually, me and Justin were having this conversation. He was like, he came over and just hung out for a little bit the day after I got back, and we were talking about who out of our friend group was like the most into anime. That's how I thought the question was. His perception of the question was who's the most into Japan and Japanese culture.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone everybody unanimously agreed Kyle is number one. Kyle is the most into anime and Japanese culture in general. And then he said I was number two, and I was like, wait, what? I'm not that into like anime, which is awkward to say on this podcast, but anyway, that I'm not the biggest person. I'm not like really, I haven't seen 300, 400 series,
Right. I
et
get
cetera.
what you mean.
And then he was like, no, dude, just into Japanese culture. Like, you're the one, like, you're really into Japanese language. You have the Japanese car. You've been there twice. Like, you're super into it. And I totally agree. I mean, it's just really different. I like the being bombarded with advertisements, like all the lights and all the verticality of the advertisements.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's kind of similar to Times Square, at least in pictures that I've seen. But I think it's really cool to be in that environment and to, have some sort of different culture. So probably going to go back, and you guys should all come with me.
Definitely.
I'm down.
All right, cool. I will take that as a promise, and you guys can't break it now.
Done.
Oh, kind of a cool story. We had just got off one of the bullet trains, the Shinkansen, to Osaka, and there was this dude sitting 2-3 rows in front of us, and he was a big black dude, not like fat, but like really muscular, kind of like just looked really strong. And his suitcase, and he was in like a nice tailored suit, and I was like, oh, must be some dude on a business trip. Gets off the train, opens his phone, and like starts speaking in like perfect Japanese to somebody, and I'm like, this dude just lives here, and this is his life. Like, that's really cool to see somebody kind of break what you would,
Right.
think of a stereotype.
Exactly.
It's breaking all the molds. You know what
Right.
I mean? Like,
So that was kind of cool to see. So if people didn't treat that guy any differently, they can't treat me differently, right?
Sure.
I mean, so one other thing is that while there, I went to buy a dirty like hentai mag for Kevin.
For Kevin.
Hentai Squad. Since he's not here.
Okay. Anyway, I bought it for him, and I think it's really interesting the lack of like how much people just don't give a shit. Like, you're sitting there like, yeah, do you have this title? They're like, yeah, let me check. Like, let me just see if it's in the back, see if we have that particular like titty mag for you. And everyone's just like sitting there perusing through. You're like, excuse me, sorry, they got it opened up and like, let's check the art on this one, see if that one's if that's a good take home. And I think it's really cool because you hear that Japan is so like sexually repressed, but then like, you walk into a shop and there's like the pillow, like the naked body pillow things just on display. They're just like, and somebody's like picking one out, like, please, one, sir.
So you would never see that in the United States. Like, you know what I
I
mean?
mean, so
Like,
inside the shop, yeah, that's kind of how it is, but they sell everything in like black bags. So once you leave the shop, you're kind of safe.
Right.
don't want to lose your honor. You know what I mean? Like, gotta protect that.
Protect the honor.
Definitely. To all of our new listeners, here's a quick rundown of the show. Each episode, each of us will share one thing that we love about anime. It could be a series, a character, a memory, a director. As long as it makes us happy, anything goes. Afterwards, we answer a listener question followed by our opinions on what we're currently watching. So, I'll go ahead and start us off. Anime openings that implement imagery we haven't witnessed countless times before are rare. Birds flying across a vast blue sky, a cast of characters eagerly running alongside the horizon, outstretched hands reaching towards one another as flower petals float through their fingertips. The reoccurring use of these, as well as many other generic visuals, is a result of their representative nature. Eyes, silhouettes, shadows, they're all ambiguous enough to be considered symbolic of fundamental themes ingrained in classic stories. I'm bound to see at least 3 anime protagonists per week pensively gaze into the distance while sitting on a windowsill due to how that scene immediately exemplifies hope, insecurity, and determination. While blatantly unoriginal anime openings aren't excusable, their purpose is justifiable. Anime openings exist to encapsulate the core elements of a show in under a minute and 30 seconds, while simultaneously instilling a distinct tone in the audience's mind. But I think anime openings are capable of achieving something far more meaningful, something that can only be attained by abandoning overused imagery and applying a unique and stylistic aesthetic. Imaginative opening sequences nourish deeper, more personal connections to a series through these brief but passionate miniature music videos. This belief, I think, is best encapsulated by anime openings storyboarded by Sayo Yamamoto. Like everyone in the anime industry who is anything less than a prodigy, Sayo Yamamoto is a name that's probably less recognizable than her works themselves. She's directed Michiko to Hatchin, The Woman Called Fujiko Mine, and most recently, Yuri on Ice. However, I personally find her creative direction as a storyboard artist to be her most notable quality. In addition to storyboarding the openings for the series she's directed, Michiko, Fujiko, and Yuri, she's also the mind behind openings for Arakawa Under the Bridge, Psycho-Pass, and Kakegurui. And while I may be focusing on openings, in order to understand her style even further, it's worth mentioning Yamamoto has storyboarded ending animations for Attack on Titan, Shingeki no Bahamut Genesis, and Space Dandy. But what is her style? The majority of her projects seem to be loosely inspired by pop art. Vibrant pastels saturate her color palette usage in the form of halftone gradients. Intricately textured backgrounds that look as if they were cut out from a storybook tastefully contrast the characters, encouraging your eyes to wander through the various layers of her composition. In cases where Yamamoto forgoes her preferred color choices, such as the monochromatic Fujiko opening or the earth-toned Attack on Titan ending, her vintage, almost ethereal nuances are accentuated. Regarding Yamamoto's more personal quirks, she seems to have no trouble legitimizing the inclusion of her own fascinations into her work. The seemingly bizarre use of fish, fruits, and figure skating actually do make sense in context to whichever project she's working on. The opening of Persona 5, for example, where the kids glide through Tokyo, can be interpreted as a sign of rebellious nature, even though in actuality Yamamoto is most likely showcasing her obsession with ice skating. Now, to be completely honest, I wouldn't define Yamamoto's style as my preferred aesthetic, but the fact that every opening sequence she's worked on stands out in my mind so vividly speaks volumes. And by no means is Yamamoto the only artist who understands anime openings are a distinct piece of media that viewers develop a strangely personal bond with. Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, JoJo, NHK, Ping Pong, Princess Jellyfish, The Perfect Insider, Setsubo Sensei, Bleach, Monogatari, Tatami Galaxy. Rather than building excitement, setting the mood, or providing symbolism, inventive openings evoke sentimentality. There's something I can fondly look back on in order to reinvigorate and reassure my passion for the medium. And I don't mean they simply make me feel nostalgic. Nostalgia can be elicited via any anime with a catchy theme. Artistically unique openings are a depiction of anime's stylistic versatility.
So one thing I think is cool about that is that it was like the opposite of a couple episodes ago. I don't know how many you were talking about a musical composer who was kind of shoehorned in to a couple of different shows. Like they were really popular, and somebody that was, making some big blockbuster style anime would enlist them because of the big name, and the style wouldn't really fit. Whereas what you're talking about now with this style seems like it does fit. Like it's the
right.
It's somebody that, I mean, the shows you mentioned don't seem like they share a common theme, but you still have this style kind of coming through and standing out in your mind, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
It's interesting that you mentioned her. I actually didn't know that she was the one who did those openings. But Kakegurui, like the opening blew my mind. I had heard about the show.
It's the gambling one, right?
Yep.
I wasn't that impressed, honestly. You guys were talking about it. I was like, I even watched.
I wasn't very impressed. He was impressed.
Let's not talk.
Are you impressed now? Are you still impressed?
No, I don't
was
know
terrible,
where
but-
you're getting. I liked it as it was airing, but it got progressively worse, mostly due to the fact that it was poorly adapted.
Okay.
But the point I was trying to make was that intro captured me. Like it sold me. Like the music, you know, like this swing kind of insanity laden.
Yeah.
With the visuals, like these like really weird kind of off color, you know, and just the overly sexual nature, like just summed up the show so perfectly that I fell in love with it because of the intro. And I continue to watch it because of the intro. I would look forward to seeing the intro every episode.
Right.
So, you know, for me, that was the first time that an intro sold me on a series as opposed to the series selling me on a series.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned like the sexualization of the girls. I remember reading something on Saya Yamamoto about how she just finds women like really attractive or enticing, which is why there's lots of, you know, upskirt shots or lots of kissing or legs. She just finds women really fascinating and appealing. I mean, I think purely from a visual standpoint. My point was that it's not even her. I think she's a good example, but I think more so is just the creativity of openings and, you know, our memory associated with them.
Well, I mean, I get that you could see an opening. So this happened as we walked in. Kyle always has like YouTube videos playing of kind of anime scenes to music. I think everyone's pretty familiar with them. But the opening for Blend S was going on, and I had mentioned to Justin, I'm like, I know nothing about this show, and watching this opening makes me want to watch it.
Yeah, I think anime openings are better trailers for anime than trailers themselves. They make you want to watch a show more than a synopsis or.
Yeah, because I don't necessarily like I try to avoid trailers because I don't want to know anything about the story. I just want to have a short look at the characters and just a little bit of kind of the world. I don't really want to know the plot. I just want to see, you know, what I'm getting into as far as the characters and the setting.
Right.
So I think that trailers do, or openings do that because, you know, almost, I don't know, like 90% of the time, the animation that's in that is not actually in the show at all. Like none of the events that happen in the opening actually happen in the show.
Yeah, it's a standalone. I mean, sometimes.
Like sometimes you'll see some sort of like fight scene that happens like, you know, 15, 16 episodes in, and there's like a little bit of that in the opening, but for the most part, it's just completely standalone animation. So you don't feel spoiled by anything, which is one of the big reasons I try to avoid trailers.
Sure. Anything else, or do we want to move on?
Move on. I guess I kind of broke down the original idea of this new format, which is just things that you like about anime, right? That was the big poll, was just talk about something that you like. And I think that I like this a lot more than most people. And that would be just the different environments and the different kind of worlds that are built out in anime. And, you know, just how they really pull me into a story. So one thing I'll start with, and it's because we kind of give Sword Art Online a lot of shit on this podcast, because none of us really like the story. But the environments in it are absolutely gorgeous. Like something about having floating islands or rolling hills, these places with like no, I mean, sure, you can argue that there are places on the earth that kind of fulfill this, where there's like just, you know, no civilization for a long time and just a lot of pretty nature, kind of like Zelda Breath of the Wild or like Sword Art Online. But it's not to the extent that it is, you know, where they basically have their own world where it's, you know, almost barren of what we think of as like bustling cities and civilization. That leads me to something like Konosuba, where you have kind of a RPG-esque world where there's like villages, and it's just I guess a little bit kind of like a, you know, like I mean, the point of it is to be transported into kind of an RPG world like World of Warcraft or something. But, you know, there's always that pull where you're just like, man, I wish that I could have that experience of actually living in some sort of world like this. A couple other examples real quick are Cowboy Bebop. So the idea of going planet to planet in a spaceship and seeing completely different worlds every time you go to a different planet or a space station or some sort of, you know, whatever. Castle in the Sky, again, for the floating island. And a big one for a lot of people, I think, is the world of Samurai Champloo, or in general anything that's set in Edo period Japan. So something about the really old school Kyoto style housing with like it's the little things for me, like the little curtains in front of every shop that are like split to walk in. Everyone walking around in, like, I call them Jesus shoes, like
Sandals.
the sandals with like literally it's like a block with two other blocks on the sides,
I
and
see.
that, like, that's it, like Mugen shoes
Yeah.
and Samurai Champloo.
Just the swords, man.
Yeah, everybody just walking around with swords all the time and like riding horses and stuff, and like samurai. And I think that a lot of people really like Edo Japan in that kind of area. But what it is about me is that I think it's the same reason I like traveling, is that it's just completely different from how life is here. Like, I love Steins Gate, but it's set in Akihabara. Like, I can actually go there and I can see the places. So it's not as interesting as something that's just entirely fictional. And one thing that's cool about anime as a medium is that you can really go you're limited by nothing. There's no CGI, there's no actors to pay, you can make any sort of life form. You can make all the, weird aliens from Space Dandy, or you can make any sort of, type of human. You can make any sort of type of planet. You can just make shit up. Like, you can be like, yeah, this one's completely gaseous, and all the stuff just floats on the top of it, right?
Sure.
You can just, you really get to see the creativity of the artists that are working on it. And it's like, there's something about them that makes you just want to visit these places, or if you could be like reincarnated, like actually be part of the world. And I think as a whole, it just draws you a little bit more into the story, because there's something to focus on. Like, if I'm watching something set in Tokyo, you're like, okay, it's a city. It's kind of a forgettable aspect of the show. Whereas if it's in some sort of world that they have to build out, and you have to learn a little bit more about how it works and how it's a little bit different than the world you're in right now, I think it's just, it's another piece to making something perfect like that.
When you were talking about that, I immediately was thinking of Porter Robinson's Shelter, right? Like,
Right,
the girl
like
who creates environments.
So you have the little, like an iPad essentially, and everything she drew came to life in front of her.
Yeah, and the environments in that little 5-minute music video, or whatever you want to call it, were incredible. Like, gigantic cliffs and floating rocks and
Right, just something
oh my
about
gosh, beautiful.
If you could actually go, like, I feel like we're, as a society, kind of, we're always having to be entertained by something, like, on cell phones or whatever. But I feel like if I was in an environment with that, like that, I could just walk around for like 12 hours straight and just be fascinated at all times.
It's kind of interesting that a medium, you're talking about a screen entertaining us all the time, but like an escape is a screen. You know what I mean? Like, that's interesting that, like, you can go and be transported to nature via an art form that exists, a digital media form.
Yeah.
Right, like it's almost your imagination is filling in the gaps, like even more so than what the artist has put in front of you. I don't really love to impose my own thoughts onto your topic, but in regards to, I'm going to do it anyways. In regards to settings,
No, it's fine. Go for it.
like, I am not as captivated by settings as you seem to be, because I think what you're getting at is you really, really like the fantastical nature of these completely foreign worlds.
Right, and it doesn't even have to be just environmental, but I guess just the world itself. So if the rules change, right? If there's
Sure.
like, even something that could be set in a city, but you have, I guess it's kind of expanding the topic, but even if, everybody can suddenly, do like telekinesis, for instance.
Sure.
Like Pokemon, right? That's
Like
the original
Pokemon.
one, right?
But the point I'm trying to make is that for me personally, rather than just the fantastical nature of the world, for me, it's the believability of it, regardless of if it is magical or not. And to me, what that means is my sense of space in the world. I want to see the world through the eyes of the character and like the really subtle nuances from their perspective. There are plenty of Ghibli movies where I feel like I could walk around and know where I'm going, because the sense of space is so instilled through the perspective of the characters. They're not just a fantastical world, they are lived in. They seem real, regardless of how magical they are. So what I like is the believability, is what I'm trying to say.
I think I see what you're getting at. Like, I like it when, part of the world building experience is that not only they have created, I guess, new rules to go with this world, but there are little subtle nods to it in every little piece. Like,
Right.
you'll see, I don't know, let's take something I'll make up on the spot, but like, if you have some sort of like gaseous planet, right, that everybody happens to live on, and then in one scene you're talking to some guy that does some sort of farming, but it's a little bit different because he's like farming natural gas or something. That takes you into this like belief that, oh yeah, this is, they've actually thought about how people would go to live on this world, not only just build it because it looks cool.
Right. A good comparison would be almost like, because it popped up on screen, I'll say like Tokyo in Noragami compared to Tokyo in Akira. In Noragami, and I'm talking like regardless of the fact that they're different universes, but Noragami is very vague. Like, I understand they're in a city, but it doesn't even really need to be Japan. Whereas in Akira, the aesthetic of Akira is so well portrayed that, like, in Alleyway seems like it was written as if the creator was actually there. Yeah. It seems more authentic.
So you want to see like nuances of a character's bedroom, like if they like a certain sport or something, you want to see specific things.
Yeah, like a basketball on the table, or like a Michael Jordan poster. Just like these little things. It's the
believability of
how they interact with the world creates the world around them.
Interesting. Okay, so my topic this week, I was kind of struggling to choose something. I kind of switched last minute to something that I've been wanting to talk about, but couldn't really put it into words. Is sexual tension in anime. I really, really enjoy sexual tension in specific series. It kind of came to light when I watched Steins Gate, because the main character, all the girls around him kind of like him, like in one way or not another. Like, he, of course, he's got Mikase, right? Whatever.
Sure.
Whatever. We know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Makase.
Makase, yes. Yes, I knew that all along. Yes. So, there's this incredible, like, you could slice it with a freaking knife, sexual tension between the two of them. Like, they like each other, yet they, like, give each other shit all the time.
Sure. It's even better in the movie, dude. You gotta watch it.
Oh, dude, I have it downloaded. I will. Oh, I will. But it's just, it's something I'm like, I want you to like do something, like make a move. Like, this is unbearable to watch. Yeah. Unbearable. And, I love the fact that every character in that show has like, I don't know, I feel like there's sexual tension with every character in the main character in that show. All the girls like him. They kind of see him, like, respect him.
There's a certain genre of shows you might really be into. I don't know if you've heard of it before.
Have you ever heard of a harem?
What?
My virgin ears.
That sounds like something I'd like.
Go on, Justin.
Anyway.
But, and then I've been watching Ronin Kenshin and Ronin Kenshin. Yes. And it's the same thing, like there's Megumi, the older hot female. Mm-hmm. She is described as a fox, and there's this one scene where she is trying to stop him from leaving, and she puts a dog collar on his neck, and gets these fox ears, and it's just so ridiculous. And she's talking about be a good boy and all this stuff, and I'm going to use a potion that's going to make you do whatever I want. And the sexual tension is ridiculous. The sexual innuendos.
Okay, continue.
I get it. No, I get it. Sure.
It's just a no judgment zone. Continue.
Yeah, this is a safe space. But anyways, I really, really enjoy that aspect in anime because, I think all of us going through life, myself specifically, I want to be that guy. Every female I interact with, like, I like to think that, like, I'm so charming and so cool that they all like me, right? Like, I talk to the girl at Target and I'm like, hey, girl, what's up? I need to return this, you know what I mean? And I like to think that she thinks I'm charming, you know what I mean? And, like, likes me. Every female that I interact with, I'm like, Yeah, I'm a baller. Even though that is not the case whatsoever, and I get shut down, and it's really embarrassing. But like, I like to think that I'm charming and girls like me.
Don't we all?
So you essentially want to live in a harem universe.
I want that.
You want to be
like,
the main character of a harem. You've got to be the first person to ever want such a thing.
I am the only man to ever think this thought ever. I like sexual tension that doesn't go anywhere. Like, not, you know what I mean? Stuff that like exists but doesn't turn into any kind of relationship or any feelings or whatever. And I like it because I can relate to it.
Okay.
Very much so. So I haven't had a serious relationship in a long time, but I've had tons of flings. Oh my gosh. The flings are ridiculous. I am so sexually flirtatious with, I can like name like 5 girls that like I totally cut them off. Like they wanted it so bad and there was so much like tension, you could cut it. Then nothing. I just don't give them the D.
That's not. I don't know
What is happening?
Is that a good thing?
I'm not like trying to say like, yo, like I'm so cool. I'm just saying like I can relate to sexual tension that doesn't go anywhere.
All right. From what I'm getting, it almost seems like if we have to let's move back a bit and get out of Justin's life and no.
Your
I know.
life's too cool. We gotta take a step.
No, let's take a step back before we get back in.
Okay.
So, what it sounds like to me in regards to anime is that not only do you like sexual tension, but maybe more so, you like the variability. And I know you've kind of been talking about like the one-on-one nature of like the will they, won't they, of if they will get together or not, but almost the close encounters between the male and the various females. And I get that. It's really cool to see the potential and the various types of love stories within one series. A really good example of that, or something that just came to mind, is Clannad. Between each major arc, there would be like a alternate reality. What if the main character got with this girl? And they were all like, all those little tiny OVAs were really, really interesting love stories because it appealed to the viewer who may have been invested in other characters aside from the one that he was primarily interested in. So we got to experience these mini love stories outside of the primary relationship arc. We knew he was going to get with this one girl, but all the girls were so good that I think the creator acknowledged it and wanted to show us hypotheticals, like what if he got with this girl. While I did enjoy it because I got to see Tomoyo, I think his name is, get with Kyo, purple-haired girl. It's been a long time since I've seen Clannad. That was just a super satisfying experience, and yet I still got to witness the canon of him getting with the true love interest. So maybe what I think, I don't want to fill in the gaps for you, but I think maybe what you're getting at is you like variability in addition to sexual tension, which essentially your topic may as well be, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I am, maybe harem. You may like harem anime. And I know that you may not have seen a lot, but who doesn't? Who does not like harem anime? We all.
Well, yeah, it's like, I mean, at least for me, I'm not as cool as Justin here. So
Who is?
I was never, I never had any, like, there's never been a point where I had a choice between 2 different girls, right? Not one time has there been a choice offered up to me. But there's always that fantasy, right? There's always that idea of like, what if you were kind of the main character of, multiple advances and, seeing different moments that have sexual tension built up in them. Like, one day you're, cleaning up after class or something, and then one of them happens to be there and like shuts the door behind her. Like, boom. All right, here's the tension. So I guess I understand the, I guess for you it's more of like seeing a representation of something you've experienced, and me it's like, I guess injecting myself into the main character to experience it. Like, what's the word for experiencing it through someone else? It starts with a V. Vicariously.
Vicariously.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think you guys kind of nailed it. Like you kind of honed in on my topic more, which so thank you.
Yeah.
You know, because I look at stuff and I'm like, hey, something could happen with that girl, something could happen with that girl, maybe with that girl, or maybe not at all. Who knows?
With anime, it's probably maybe not at all.
Always
It's
not
usually
at all.
not going to happen.
I think those were all good topics, but why don't we move on to questions? This week's question comes from Day. Really quickly, first they say, I have started watching Initial D recently, thanks to Hunter's
nice.
enthusiasm.
Nice.
And the Eurobeat is the best thing I've heard this year, so thank you, Hunter.
Awesome.
Now you understand the memes. Like you're welcome for the meme understanding.
Now, their question is, if you had to produce an anime with just the Weeaboos boys as a studio team, who would be the director, voice actor, artists, etc.? So what roles would we each have within our own little anime studio?
You
I
would
would be-
definitely be director.
Yeah, no question.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely. Right.
I would be a voice actor. I mean, like,
What?
let's be you don't think?
No, I think your role is like music.
Well, yeah.
yeah, or like
But we're going to be short-staffed, so I
Yeah.
think you're going to have to do
just
some
voice
voiceover as well in our theoretical studio.
I don't think my voice is interesting enough to do voiceover.
Well, if there's only, I don't know, 5 of us, we're going to need all of us to do some voice acting.
Okay, so everyone has to do voice acting. What are the other roles? Like producer?
Well, I think
Storyboard.
director producer would probably be one. Writer, I'd probably, well, in the case of our mini studio, I'd probably all attribute that to one role: director, producer, writer. Maybe that goes to me. Justin gets music and voiceover.
Can I be the cheerleader, I guess?
What?
What's left?
I don't know. I think while you may be lacking the like literal
Skills?
artistic talent, I think you might be well suited for character designer because
Hunter, why are all the girls topless?
not again.
I don't know.
We can't air this on TV. Just because you seem to be a little bit more, I don't want to say nitpicky, but like you have really specific tastes or specific things you find appealing within character design. I think maybe a character designer.
Outside in this very hypothetical situation, I would like to, choose how the characters look because I am pretty into that, and obviously I just did the whole spiel on environment, so I'd like to do
Background art as well. Yeah.
right. So, and everything would be like set in Neo Tokyo with like Lamborghini Countaches driving around and like Eurobeat. It'd be great.
Dude, yes. I'm down.
I think Sam, while he's not here, would be, I guess, well suited for voice acting as well.
Sam would be a voice actor.
He's very expressive.
I actually like writing. I'd rather write than be a voice actor, actually. But yeah. Kevin.
Kevin,
Voice actor? He's kind of talks loud.
Relationship manager.
he could animate.
He
could be a
ships
PR
all the
guy.
characters together. The PR guy.
Yeah, you could be like, guys, there's so many titties in this show. It's so good.
Titties.
Oh, pie.
Yeah.
Kevin doesn't have to be in it, does he?
We wouldn't be a very good anime studio.
Fire Kevin. Can that be his role?
Whoa!
Dude, Kevin's listening right
That's
now.
hard.
No, he's not. He's probably fucking reading the hentai book I bought him.
He's probably doing that. Well, we
No
wouldn't
joke.
be-
I was like, yeah. So I bought it. I brought it back to him on like Sunday or whatever, and like gave it to him, right? And then Monday night, I was like, "Hey, Kevin, want to hang out?" He's like, "I'm busy."
That's hilarious.
Why don't we move on to what we're watching?
Okay.
I guess I will go ahead and start listing the things I'm going through, and if you happen to be watching the same things as me, you can jump in. If not, afterwards you can mention what you've been watching and how you like it. So,
Are you watching anything from the 90s?
yeah, actually.
Nice.
So, despite fully acknowledging instances of pretty good character development and genuinely intriguing world building, Darling in the Franxx continues to feel average. I'm continually hoping my moderate disinterest in the anime is thrown to the wayside after a narrative revolution occurs. But that's part of the problem. I feel like I've been doing nothing but patiently waiting for the twist, engaging in speculation and contemplating what ifs instead of enjoying the journey. Plenty of series intentionally distract the viewer from its societal or external conflict in order to provide the audience with a more character-centric perspective on the world. The direction of the series is dictated by what these kids perceive as important. Fighting in robots is just what they've been told to do. It's routine. While Impressionism is probably the form of storytelling I value the most, it's only impactful when the values of the characters are worth caring about. A character can grow and still be uninteresting. More than half of the characters who we've seen, every single episode still feels so one-dimensional, yet I'm still hopeful. I want Darling in the Franxx to be more than average.
So I do agree that the characters are a little bit shallow. Like I feel like we've started to see a little bit more of Goro, but like what's the Zerome guy? He's like same dude.
Yeah.
Like, there's been nothing interesting happen to him, and for the most part, most of the characters are not very interesting. But I still think that the show's a lot more about like the relationships, and this is like by no means, you know, unique to the show, but even though it's about mechas technically, the fight scenes are actually not the most interesting part of the show by any account.
Right.
Like it's really about the relationships, and apart from the first two kind of shock episodes where you get introduced to this world and you have some characters with rumors about them and a lot of like, you know, sexual innuendos, it's felt a little lackluster. I mean, it just doesn't
It doesn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, I mean, and was there really any hype to it?
Yeah, because it's
Trigger,
and A1 Pictures. It's a weird collaboration, so there is hype, yes.
but yeah, I agree that. Well, the other thing is that it's like what 23 episodes or something. Like
Oh,
it's
I'm
gonna
not
be-
sure.
I was under the impression it was fairly long. I could be totally wrong, but if it is pretty long, then they have
I didn't think it was.
okay.
But
Well, if it was longer, then it would make sense that there's kind of a slow build up for some of this. But if they're working towards a finale in like 13 episodes and it's like 10 tomorrow, I really don't understand where they're going to go with it.
right. So Violet Evergarden is both literally and metaphorically an emotional journey. For the past few episodes, I've had to fight back tears as Violet has experienced revelations regarding herself and the impact she's had on others. Stories encapsulating various outlooks on love and loss from the perspective of someone who was once emotionless is as devastating as it sounds. In addition to two of the most moving side stories, Violet's tragic past was finally revealed. I've heard complaints about the episodic nature of the anime, that each episode is devastatingly melodramatic in an effort to do nothing more than make you sad. But I find the format of the show perfectly suited for the subject matter. What is life aside from a collection of experiences, miniature stories we exchange with one another, like letters that actively shape who we are? Every week, I mentally write off Karakai Jozu no Takagi-san as nothing more than another cute and fun series, which it is. It's painfully formulaic, there's virtually no character development, and we've known everything there is to know about the series from episode 1, yet there's no other show this season that consistently gives me this stupid, uncontainable, open-mouthed smile. Like this smug little 13-year-old girl is going to give me a heart attack. She's so adorable, I can't stand it. So. Sora Yori Moi Toibasho continues to be a moving and inspirational representation of rebellion. When the girls are finally about to step foot in Antarctica, they hesitate and contemplate what their first words should be before ultimately deciding on shouting, "In your face." The adults on the deck of the ship join their victory cry, shouting "in your face" in unison, because what else is there to say? After constantly having to face those who doubt and criticize you in spite of your courage to take countless risks in an effort to follow your passion, there's no response more satisfying than a blaring and boisterous "in your face." Everyone on this journey has encountered adversity. The adults and kids alike fully realize the reckless and seemingly impractical nature of this expedition. But it's through the act of overcoming adversity that we're able to derive the ultimate form of satisfaction. Sora Yori is filled with moments like this one, moving moments that encapsulate the gratification of achieving something you've rightfully earned, like the right to tell someone to piss off over a live broadcast. Like, all of these moments are so emotional. Like, I love this show so much. The poetic romanticism of Koiwa Ameagari no Yoni never fails to genuinely impact my emotional state. It hasn't been particularly poignant, rather it's simply beautiful. The imagery in the writing, the symbolism in the shot composition, the juxtaposition between the dialogue and their actions. In the most recent episode, episode 10, we heard this beautiful analogy about a swallow unable to fly as a camera pan between Akira's leg and Kondo's notebook. It's a love story that's not about misunderstandings. It's about having the desire to understand one another as well as your own desires. I'm watching about 15 other shows in addition to what I just listed, and most of them don't have much worth talking about, with the exception of Sangatsu no Lion, which I've already praised enough, and And I guess Eurocamp is a happy and comfy show, but I have a hard time thinking of anything meaningful to say about it. I also watched Lou Over the Wall and Lupin the Third Blood Spray of Goemon Ishikawa, which were both fantastic films, but I may be talking about those in a video later in the future. I also started watching Martian Successor Nadeshiko. First 2 episodes of a 90s anime. It's okay. So
I thought your thing was that you weren't going to watch older anime. You're only going to watch current airing.
that's true, and that's been the case for the past few years. But I I work for a school district, so I got a little bit of spring break. I had Thursday and Friday off, so I had some extra time and checked that out.
Cool.
Are you guys watching anything else?
So, well,
No, go ahead.
we kind of covered Darling in the Franxx. That's the one that I'm kind of keeping up with. The other one that Kyle was very surprised that I even looked at was Citrus.
Oh yeah, that's not for you.
Not for me. I watched the first episode, and it was, I guess a synopsis is
Girls Kiss. They're
Girls
also
Kiss.
sisters.
and they're sisters. But I thought they were like stepsisters.
Incest.
Close enough.
No, genetically, it's better.
Sure.
Okay, anyway, yeah. Because it sounded like it was me, right? Girls Kiss. That's the synopsis I'm in.
That doesn't sound like... I don't see that in Hunter. That's not what I hear, you know?
Okay, fine. Yeah, it wasn't for me. I
Okay.
watched the first episode, and the art style, the weird, like the girls have a lot of makeup on. Like it's strangely makeup-y.
Sure.
And then I didn't find any of the characters likable, like except for the main girl.
Sure.
There was just nobody likable at all. So didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
Did you talk about Citrus in your? Is that something that you're keeping up with? Do you like?
Yeah,
it?
I'm watching it. I'm watching it because I want to see the relationship of these two sisters flourish, for lack of a better, more sexual term.
More sexual term.
But I'm basically forced to watch this melodrama and like boring conflict in an effort to like see girls kiss. It's kind of like a show me what I want, but I'm not getting that. But yeah, I'm watching it. It's fine. It's whatever.
That's pretty funny.
Anything else?
So beyond that, there's stuff I want to watch, but no, I haven't.
Sure. Justin.
So I am watching Rurouni Kenshin.
Yep. Macaroni Kenshin.
At first, I very much so thought it was terrible and the worst thing I've ever seen.
No.
But I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the episodic
Sure.
nature of it. It's very lighthearted, but then at the same time, like, it gets very serious. And especially now in season 2, it is super intense. You know, he's walking down this path where he might become the Potosai again. Absolutely crazy. Like, I'm actually looking, I like the visuals a lot in it. And definitely the fights are very cool. So I'm definitely going to use that in a video for my channel. So I'm excited.
Awesome. I actually haven't seen Rurouni Kenshin. I think I actually started it and I had to like put it off when I started work a few years ago. So, but
I recommend it. It's actually pretty good.
yeah, I know. I think I explained this to you before. The movie, which is a prequel, is regarded as like one of the best movies of all time in anime. But I think you need to, in order to appreciate it, you need to first watch the series.
Is it a pretty long series?
Yes.
90 episodes or something.
That's not that long.
You watch it then.
I'm just saying.
You watch it then.
I went to go like start Conan because I wanted to watch I started watching Conan. That's
Detective Conan?
Conan the Detective Conan. Grace is like, we were in Japan and she was like, I used to watch this as a kid. Let's watch it.
It's more than 100 episodes.
It's 894.
Yeah.
That is disgusting.
That's why I was like, 90. Easy, right?
And this is about samurai. Like, this is enjoyable.
Detective Conan's about detectives though.
A little kid who's a chump.
Hey. Full story. He started as a 17-year-old, but the bad people gave him like a potion and he turned into a kid. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
But he keeps his intellect, so he solves cases. Anyway,
So he
and he
wears
has a
little
bow
boy
tie that
Boy
changes his
detective.
voice, so like he can act like an adult. but it's good. Okay.
That sounds compelling. I must watch this ASAP.
Okay.
He's paired up with Lupin before.
Really?
Yeah, he's in a movie with Lupin.
Nice. Anyway, it's not that long compared to Conan.
Sure. Anything else?
That's all I had.
Oh, I watched that movie about the Saints' young men.
Saint Oni-san?
Yes. Very, very good. Enjoyable.
Great.
A+.
He's developed an accent.
What?
All right, let's wrap it up. So if you have any questions, please send us as many as you would like. You can send them to myself at Secret Otaku on Tumblr, email us at theweeboos@gmail.com, or just leave a comment wherever you're listening. Join us on Twitch for when we record live on Fridays around the middle of each month, and join us on our Discord so you can talk to us whenever you would like. Also, consider supporting us on Patreon or leaving us an iTunes review if you like what we do. And more than anything, please share the podcast because word of mouth is the only way we get new listeners. We want to thank Yudachi for our intro and Kuwagata for our outro. And like always, get drunk.
Watch anime.
Good enough. See you guys next time.
Catch smoking a sour off the coast of Okinawa. Feeling so high like I'm Ho in that tower. Take a flight on some shit. Got my dogs riding beside me, blazing hot. That's kamikaze. Say goodbye, don't be mad, I'm lit. Catch smoking a sour off the coast of Okinawa. Feeling so high like I'm Ho in that tower. Take a flight on some shit. Got my dogs riding beside me, blazing hot. That's kamikaze. Say goodbye, don't be mad, I'm lit.